Welcome to Feminine Marketing with Modern Magic Marketing. I want to share with you ways that we can be softer in our marketing strategy within our businesses. Think about this as marketing that doesn't feel like the crummy used car salesman, but actually feels good and you're excited about doing and presenting to your potential customers. So before we get started, who am I and why do you care? My name is Katie Jackson and I am a marketing director turned marketing consultant. I help female business owners take back their marketing and do it in a way that feels good. And also give you the permission that you don't have to do everything. So if there's parts of marketing that you're like, I just absolutely don't want to do that, then we can come up with strategies together on how you can actually not do that, how you can make your business still prosper without having to do the parts of marketing that you really hate, or finding ways to outsource it. What you'll see in this little short presentation is a firsthand look at what feminine marketing is like. So you are getting access to this video without having to pay for anything, without having to sign up for anything. It is free right there on my website, and you can share it with as many people as you want. It doesn't matter, because I know that the value I'm giving you is going to build trust with you, that you're going to see that by getting these basic tools to go ahead and launch, that as you start growing and you want more ideas or you want to know how to apply this specifically to your business, I'm here for you. I offer one-on-one consulting. It's an hour at a time. There's no commitment. You can talk with me once. You could talk with me every month, whatever you want, however it feels good for your business. That's feminine marketing. Okay, enough about me. Let's get to the good stuff. All right, so what is feminine marketing? Feminine marketing is all about being intuitive. It's going with the flow. It's about being stress-free. And of course, it's always about high value or great quality. So when we look and think about marketing, we're looking at it from a masculine perspective. Now I say this not to get into like gender roles or anything, but energetics. So the masculine is very structured. We have it, we have all of these rules and regulations about what you have to do for your marketing. You have to be on social media. You have to have a newsletter. You have to have a website. We go through all of those things. We also have to have more now. So it's always about creating more content. It's always about pushing more things out there. It's about making it feel like we don't have enough time. And so there's always this like, get it now, buy now. If you buy 4, you'll get 1 more. Like all of these things are masculine marketing, and they don't always feel good. And because we've been so prone to use masculine marketing, it's starting to feel more and more icky. So I want to try doing marketing in a different way. And I found that this works, at least for small businesses. I honestly think it would work for all businesses, but I primarily work with small businesses, so I'm seeing it work for them. And for you to feel good in your marketing, like that's kind of the overall dream. So the first step that I walk clients through or talk to anybody about within their marketing is you need to define, what does success look like for you? Endless growth, which is what most corporations look at when they define success, is not a goal. It is not defining success because you'll never actually reach it. And in anywhere we see endless growth in nature, we consider it cancer. It's not good. So I think it's actually really powerful to start looking at your business as, what am I trying to get up to? So for me, for example, not only do I help small businesses with their marketing, but I also have my own art business. And I'll use that as an example for a lot of things throughout this conversation. But within my art business, I know that I want to reach so many sales per month, and I want to make sure that I still have time to be the full-time caretaker to our 9-month-old. And but I need to have some money coming in, so I feel like I'm helping support the family and bringing something else to the table, as well as getting my own personal fulfillment. So success for me looks like having so much money come in per month. It looks like having a nice balance of time spent in my business versus time at home, which is going to be probably like 25% time at work, 75% time at home. That's just kind of the reality of where we are right now. That can change as things change in my business, but right now that's how I'm defining success. A great book, if you have not read it, is Paul Jarvis's Company of One. Paul Jarvis is an amazing developer, designer. He's worked with huge companies. He's always stayed freelance. And on top of that, he's chosen to stay as a company of one, which means that he never was going to get huge. He's never going to make billions of dollars off of his work, but he'd rather homestead it with his family in Canada than go and make billions of dollars. It's a great read. I highly suggest it. Okay, so once you get an idea of what success looks like, what are we actually trying to build, what kind of goals do we need to hit per month, the next thing we want to start looking into is, who is your audience? Now, a lot of marketers will start getting into like the ideal avatar. And we've kind of heard this over and over again. If you've watched any online video, if you've taken any marketing classes, it's really dug into you. And to be perfectly honest, I don't 100% agree with it. I do think you need to understand who you're marketing to and who your audience is. And the more niche and the better you understand that audience, the easier it is to market to them. But I don't always think coming up with this like one perfectly clear person actually is helpful. In a lot of ways, it starts to make us feel like we're boxed in and we don't have any choices. So instead, I like to come up with some of the like niches and some of their points of view and, get an overall feel for my audience. So as the example, within my marketing, I know that I like working with female small business owners. I don't have a specific of what your business has to be. I've worked with coaches, I've worked with product-based companies, I've worked with boutiques, I've worked with yoga studios. It doesn't really matter. For me, it needs to be a small business, and I prefer to work with women, so it needs to be a female-owned small business. That's pretty much the whole niche that I'm getting into. I could go a little bit deeper in that about their interests or their education level or their income level. I might have a level of like how far in their business they need to be if I'm going to work with them in an ongoing capacity. But for the most part, when I'm just doing my one-on-one calls, it really can be at any income level or education level or whatever your interests are, because marketing is pretty broad that way. Now, when it comes to my art-based business, I know that I'm focused on women. I know that the women are usually in between the ages of like 30 to 45. They're going to be a little bit higher in the income level, not necessarily looking to buy original art, although I do offer that. But they're wanting to buy prints, and they're wanting to fill their home with color and be a little bit more original and not have the like HGTV gray home. So I know that by buying prints, buying art, it's a disposable income category, in which case you're going to have extra income every month in order to purchase something like that. Otherwise, that's kind of the gist. Like, women who are interested in colorful artwork, who probably want a feminine view in their art, that's me. That's my audience. I also like to look at like, who have you sold to? Who are some of your customers that you're like, if I could have all my customers be like that person, I'd be a winner. That's another great way to start understanding who your audience is. Okay, so then we've got our audience. We've got our definition of success, we've got our audience, and now we're coming into the message. So my message, actually for both my businesses, is that I sell to women who do it all. So if you're running a business and you're doing all the things, or you are a mom, or you're just somebody who wants to have your house updated and you've got a million things going on, I create artwork that is easy to put together in gallery walls. It pairs well with the wallpaper that I also design. Like, everything mix and matches so that you don't have to become a designer yourself. You can just find all of your design needs from my website. What is the current status quo of your industry that doesn't work? So my examples would be like, art is for the rich. This might not be the status quo with other artists I'm working with, but a lot of artists have higher price points in their art, so that could still be a standpoint. In the art world in general, a lot of people think that art is not for them. They can't be collectors. They don't like overproduced art, so all the stuff that they're seeing at Michael's and Target and World Market, because everybody has it, but they can't get originals because they don't have the budget for it, or they don't know what their own style is, and they don't know how to style art, and they don't know where to put art. All of those things can be problems. Then we talk about what makes you different or better than your competitors. So I will talk about how my art is colorful, it's curated, it's affordable, which also touches back to those status quo problems in the industry. I'm female focused, and I offer a way of looking at a slower way of living, which is usually very approachable to people who are doing it all. And then I can also create custom art if you're looking for something customizable and you have a higher budget. So all of these things are things that I'm going to be talking about within my marketing. So whether I'm talking about it in social media posts, or I'm talking about it in email newsletters or blog posts or throughout my website, these are the touch points that I'm going to be hitting often. I want to talk about what's wrong with the status quo and how I'm different from everybody else. And then I'm also going to be naming who my audience is as well throughout it all. Okay, so we've got three main buckets of types of marketing we can do. We've got digital, print, and people. So digital is going to be everything from organic social to paid social, which are things like ads or Social Cat if you want a new way of working with influencers, but this is on a smaller budget. SEO, which comes into blogging, Pinterest, web optimization, and your newsletter. In print, we've got PR, so submitting to publications. We've got paid advertising, and then we've got like sending postcards, which is one of my favorite ways to market. I think it's so brilliant. I don't think enough people are taking advantage of it, so keep that one in mind. And then finally, people, which is figuring out partnerships. That's going to be partnerships with other businesses. It's going to be partnerships with local entities. I think even if you are a brand that works nationally, like Modern Magic, I can sell prints anywhere. But I start to really focus in on a lot of the local stuff. Like, how do I get in the local magazines? How do I work with other local businesses and start building up from there? And then, of course, word of mouth and referrals, which is going to be your strongest marketing ever. That you need, like finding more ways to be getting people to spread your name and refer you. And if they get kickbacks or the people that they're sending you get kickbacks, whatever it is, that's just like icing on the cake. Okay. I don't want to spend my entire time on this talking about social media. I know people have a lot of questions about social media. I know that's often a topic of conversation. It is also the number one thing people want permission not to be on. So right here, right now, I give you permission to not be on social media. Okay, you can take that. If that's all you needed, you can get off right now. Social media, I just have a love-hate relationship with it. I go back and forth. It feels like there can be so much good that comes from it, and there can be so much bad that comes from it. And for the small business who's doing a million things, do I think you have to be on social media? No, not really. If you're a completely digital brand, it's probably helpful. Again, I think there's other ways of getting around it. I still think that doing more in-person stuff and partnerships are probably going to get you further faster. There is some great community benefits of being on social media. Also, though, like as we're going to talk about in some of these rules, you don't need to be on all the social medias, and you don't need to be posting every single day. So there's some different things in there, but we're going to do just a quick touch on social media. I want to give you a couple things the rules you can break, a couple ideas of content you can be creating to help boost your engagement and followers and reach and whatnot. And then I want to go into all the other parts of marketing that you maybe weren't thinking about. So there are no rules in art. If you follow my Substack, that is the name of my Substack. And so let's break some rules. So the first rule we have is you have to be on all the platforms. As I just said a second ago, you do not. Choose the ones that your customer is on. So look at like age demographics, gender demographics, those kind of things, as well as the things that you like to be on. This is where the feminine marketing comes in. What feels good to you? I am not a fan of TikTok, although TikTok's drama is like major right now. So who knows what will happen with that, but I've never really been on TikTok. Of the options, I like Instagram. I don't love it. I don't want to spend all the amount of time I do on it. I do see some benefits of it. It's one of the more visual platforms, and I need the visuals, but it does hold my audience, and so it is a better option for me. However, I don't post daily, and that's going to be breaking rule number 2. You do not need to post daily. I want to see quality over quantity, and that's the real thing about feminine marketing. Again, high value. So you don't need to post daily. It's about the quality of it. And then you also, when we start thinking, if I'm going to be posting, I need to be like posting about my product. The reality is people understand how social media works. They get that if you're a business, you have a product. So you don't need to overly sell your product on social media because people know it. Like if they're interested in you, if they're interested in your post, or they see what your name is in your handle, then like they get it. They know what you're selling. They can go to your profile. They can read your bio. They can see all of that stuff. Like we're talking to people on Instagram or on any social media platform like they're idiots. And the reality is that they're not idiots. So I think there's a way of like bringing your products into posts, talking around them without having to be like, go buy, 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 buy. You should only post reels because that algorithm. If you hate dealing with video, don't post reels. Actually, carousel posts do better because it's like 5 images stacked on one and they like to like shuffle it up. So I might see from one brand that post one day and then the next day I'll see that exact same post, but it looks new to me because they've put a new picture on top. So it's a great way to doing it. I actually prefer carousel posts. But again, you don't have to do reels if you don't want to. Okay, so this is your digital content strategy. We want to do 50% is content we are trying to get people to share. So this is going to be funny memes, education, wow factors, relatable, inspirational, all that kind of fun stuff. The dad chats, if you don't follow him on Instagram, I highly suggest it. Even when I was off of Instagram, I would come back and check in on him because he's so funny. His wife too, both of them are just like, they're killing it. But they like, I would say 90% of their content is the share factor, and then like 10% they'll talk about partnerships or something that they're doing. So it's really all focused about the funny stuff. And they're killing it. They're doing great with that. So these are going to be reels, carousel posts, stories, regular posts, whatever it is. And then the call to action is usually going to be something like tag a friend or share this post with somebody, yada, yada, yada. The second content is going to be converting. So this is when you talk about your product. This is 20% of your posts. If you want to do like a hard push for something, you might only do like talk about your product at certain times of the year. And then the rest of the time is like not talking about your product at all. And so you can kind of like weigh that. But basically over the course of a year, 50% of your content should be share, 20% should be convert. And then the last 30% is about retaining, which is going to be more like behind the scenes and get to know me and get to know the crew and understand how we do things and how we package things and what our process is and, you know, just all the behind the scenes stuff. We want to feel like we're friends with you. Okay. That was the quick and dirty of social media. I hope you at least got 1 or 2 nuggets out of that. Again, if you're ready to dive deeper, I'm always happy to sign up and do a one-on-one with you. And then we can kind of go into your own specific social media strategy. So next we want to talk about search engine optimization, SEO. So you are going to use search engine optimization for sure on your website, especially if you're blogging. If you use Pinterest, it's great on Pinterest. Those are probably, I feel like I'm forgetting one off the top of my mind right now. That's just mom brain. Sorry. There might be one more that I can't think of, but we're going with it. So what words are people using to find you? This is what we're like focused on. So what are the questions people are asking about your brands? What are like major words that come up for you? You know, for me, it might be like colorful artwork. It might be nursery art. It might be office art. It might be, you know, female office art or, you know, feminine office or like, you know, like that kind of stuff. So I'm going into like, if I were going to search for something and I was hoping to find my product at the end, what am I typing into Google? Then I suggest you go and type it into Google, and then Google will give you other like suggested searches and start writing those down. Some of them are going to be questions. Some of them are going to be phrases. Those exact questions or phrases are things that you should be including in on your website or in a specific blog post. And again, I haven't said this before, but you want to make sure that you're focusing on a single keyword phrase per page on your website. So like your main page is going to be pretty focused on your brand name and like the main thing that you do. But I might then go into a blog post that's about feminine art for your office or designing a woman's office or something like that. And then I'm using that keyword phrase a few times within the blog post. That way it actually gets tagged when Google is looking for it. If you are locally based, you're going to want to make sure that your city name is included in a lot of the keyword phrases that you're using, because people are going to be searching for near me, or like coffee shop in Denver, or, boutique in New York, whatever. Okay, that was SEO. All right, these are actually my favorite ways of marketing because I don't think that these are that saturated. Everything's a little saturated, like, let's be real. But this marketing is the type of marketing that worked before social media, and it's going to work long after social media. So the first one is it's all about PR. It's getting into publications, big and small. Now, it's real easy to be like, I want to get into Vogue, or I want to get into the New York Times. Great. Everybody's going for those. Those are the very saturated areas. Again, start small. So these are going to be more local, or like smaller blogs that are really niche. And then it's going to be about you pitching to them. So it's not just like, I have this really cool product, you want to write about it. It's like, what is cool about your product? How is this helping this community that reads this publication? What's a new take on it? How are you utilizing this? What's something that's unique and rare about your business? Like, what is editorial worthy versus otherwise they're just gonna be like, you can go buy an ad then. But like, what is it worthwhile? So I have a article that was in 5280 magazine, which is a pretty big Denver-based magazine. And I had pitched to them that I'm a local artist and I'm designing wallpaper, because that's like the wow factor for people. They're like, what? Wallpaper? Who designs wallpaper? How does that even happen? So I pitched that to them. And then I also talked about like creating calm spaces and slowing down, and like with hustle culture, that's also really popular. They loved this idea. They sent a journalist over and interviewed me, and we got some pictures of my wallpaper, and they printed it in their print issue, and it was phenomenal. Like, that was such a great moment for me. So it's doing that over and over and over and over again. Now, given my wallpaper is actually not the highest price point for me to make something off. I just license it. So I actually make, it is the most expensive of my products, and I make the least amount from it. So instead, I want to start focusing on my original artworks, my custom artworks, even art prints, where I have a way higher margin on it. So be thinking about that too as you're creating your marketing materials, is what things are going to give you the biggest ROI, return on investment. Next up are postcards, which I'm obsessed with. Also, I like to always have a Dr. Pepper in every shot of everything I do, because someday they're going to sponsor me. Someday, people. Okay, so postcard mailing, I like to do it at least 2 times a year. I don't think you should do it anything less than that. You should go, I prefer to honestly use a third-party address finder versus using Vistaprint, because Vistaprint you don't own. The third party you do own. And then you can use that same address list for probably like 2 or 3 years. It's not going to change that much. You can go on to, just Google like how to get addresses, or like find an address list, or like find a postcard mailing list, and like you can go in and you can type in the neighborhoods, like what are the zip codes, and then you can get, like really start to like bring it down. And you can do it based on what your budget is of how many postcards you want to send. You want to send 1,000 postcards, it's about $800. You want to send 200 postcards, I want to say it was like $150. So that's kind of like an understanding of how much that's going to cost. I suggest putting some sort of QR code that's trackable on it, or some sort of discount or promo code or something on there, so you can actually track sales based off of the postcards to see how they're doing. This is one of those things that like you do kind of have to repeat it a few times in the mail before you're going to see a lot of like return, and you need it to be a very clear call to action on the postcards. So this is like, get $50 off your first consult with me. This is get 10% off my products. This is like, I'm sending out one right now that is specific to the custom illustrative house paintings that I do. So I make a painting of your home that looks like it should be in a children's book. I actually have one right here. I'll just, why not throw in a little plug right here. So this is the one that I am currently working on. And yeah, it's just a fun little thing. But my postcard is 100% about that, only that. I'm not talking about prints. I'm not talking about wallpaper. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm just talking about that clear call to action. And then, of course, like we said at the beginning with the publications, you can do paid ads in local magazines. Again, you're going to want to do that on a repeat basis. Depending on where you live, depending on the audience, is going to see how those work. You'll want to do some sort of tracking code. So QR code or a promo code, something like that, so you can actually track who's coming from those things. All right, partnerships is the last area, and I think this is honestly one of the strongest things, because I think community is the greatest thing in the entire world. So partnerships are going to be about finding ways that you can do something that's going to benefit somebody else's business and it's going to benefit yours. Okay? So Social Cat, which I mentioned earlier in the social media stuff, it's $100 a month for Social Cat. I do not get any kickbacks for this. I just started using it. It's pretty interesting. It connects you with micro influencers who are asking for lower payment options or gifted product. So I've just been working with the gifted product part, and this is a way for them to have like more content. They get something fun out of it. I get a post on their social media, and hopefully I'll see some sales come through. Okay, that's like the smallest, most basic form of partnerships. I've also been starting to come up with ideas of like, what are ways that I can get in front of the audiences of brands that I love and that my customer would also be living under. So like, there's a jewelry company that I'm obsessed with, and I buy most of my jewelry from them. And I was like, all right, that's my ideal customer. Like, they serve women, they serve these like women who have at least somewhat of a disposable income. The jewelry is not like crazy expensive. Okay, so that's the brand I want to work with. They're much bigger than me, so like I need to make something really juicy that's going to make them want to work with me. So I'm in the process right now of pitching to them this idea of doing mini prints that I would pay for. I would get up to 1,000 was what my budget was of basically like postcard size prints printed. That would be a woman wearing their jewelry. That's an illustration that I've done. Then on the back would be a letter to the women telling them how wonderful they are, how beautiful they are, how this brand wants to support them. And then at the very bottom, it has my logo and it has my like, Katie Jackson did this art. If you want to learn more, check out shopmodernmagic.com kind of thing. So I'm in conversations with this brand about potentially doing that and doing it for like a Mother's Day gift. But then I was like, okay, great. Well, I can do that with this brand, but like, what about this brand and this brand? And then, oh, there's all these local brands. Maybe I could do the same thing with like these 5 local brands. All I have to do is put the artwork together, put their logo on things, and then send it to print once they agree that they'll do it. So this could be great for me. Like, I could get 1,000 postcards printed, and it's like, I don't know, $50, $100 to get that many printed. But because I'm not paying for the postage, it's not that expensive. This is basically them paying for the postage for me. So it's like a win-win. This is a way for them to gift something to their audience that has value, that makes it feel like an extra bonus, that makes them feel seen and loved. And it's a way for me to get in front of their audiences. So partnerships are a lot more work. They're a lot more brain power. You do really need to get creative, but as you start working with other businesses, you'll find out what their needs are and what they're looking for and what they want to do. And you'll find more ways of collaborating, and it'll expand you. And when you can get in front of those audiences that like really match with you and what you're doing, it's such good stuff. So I cannot suggest this enough. I have on here hunter.io. It's a free way of you can put in the website of their brand. So like, you put in shopmodernmagic.com, and then it would pull from my website any emails associated from it. And then you would know who to email, or like what their format of email is. Is it like name.lastname@website, or is it just name@website? So those are some fun little tricks. All right, that is my quick and dirty little spiel on feminine marketing. I hope you got some amazing ideas out of this. Try some things out. It's always fun to like throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. There's a lot of strategies out there that don't just pertain to social media, but even within social media, there's a more feminine and fluid way of approaching it that doesn't feel so icky and grimy and better goes within your schedule because you're a woman who does it absolutely all and you don't have time for that. So if you are interested in one-on-one marketing strategy, I am always here for you. You can sign up on my website. It'll take you to a link to go ahead and sign up for a session, and it accepts payment right away. Everything is set up for you to meet easy breezy, and we can get talking like tomorrow, basically. I do offer ongoing marketing support where I implement your marketing. Currently, and I don't know when you're seeing this video, so I might have one opening available. I really only take on 1 to 2 of those at a time just because of my workload. My definition of success is getting to do my artwork, it's getting to be with my family, and then helping women support their businesses. So I really only take on a few of those, but I usually almost always have openings for one-on-one marketing. At the very least, it's only like a week or 2 out that you would have to schedule. So if you're interested, there's no commitment. You can just sign up for one call and never talk to me again. Or if you love it and you find it super useful, we can do a monthly call, whatever works for you and your business. I want it to feel good. I want it to be feminine. So thank you so much for joining me today. Again, I hope this was helpful. If you need anything else, feel free to shoot me a message, ask some questions, or just share your thoughts.